Etymology and historical origin of the baby name Davis. Davis is the transferred use of a patronymic English surname from the given name, David, by way of the pet form Davy. David comes from the Hebrew Dodaveha, meaning beloved of Jehovah. David was the second and arguably greatest king of Israel, which led to the popularity of his name among Jews, and then later, by Christians, throughout Europe in medieval times. St. David was a 6th century abbot of Inventive in Wales, noted for his extreme adherence to monastic piety. He and his monks engaged in heavy manual labor and intense religious study. Monasteries throughout Wales flourished under his spiritual leadership and example, and St. David became the patron saint of Wales. The surname first emerged as Davis in the 14th century, which later developed in Davis and finally Davis. As a given name, Davis is considered masculine and used primarily in the United States. Personality of the boy named Davis. The number one personality is a leader, strong and competitive. They are willing to initiate action and take risks. One personalities work hard toward their endeavors and have the ability to apply their creative and innovative thinking skills with strong determination. They believe in their ability to succeed and are too stubborn to be hindered by obstacles. Ones meet obstacles head-on with such mental vigor and energy that you better step aside. They resent taking orders, so don't try telling them what to do either. This is an intensely active personality, but they are also known as starters rather than finishers. They have a propensity to become bored and will move quickly to the next project if not properly challenged. They are the ones to think up and put into action new and brilliant ideas, but they are not the ones to stick around and manage them. This personality has an enthusiastic and pioneering spirit. They are distinctly original. Popularity of the boy named Davis. Davis has been on the American male naming charts as far back as the late 19th century when the U.S. government first began tracking naming trends. The name may have been used in the southern states first in homage to Jefferson Davis, the only president of the Confederacy. Since the 20th century, Davis is a name that has been used in relatively low moderation. The 1960s marked the lowest point in its usage, but began to rebound by the 1980s as trends began to favor surnames for first names. Today the name is only used very lightly, although as a surname, it's one of the most common in the United States, like Smith, Jones, Miller, and Brown. So even if Davis as a given name is not hugely popular, the ubiquity of the surname in America makes this name very familiar to everyone. One notable name bearer in the United States is Davis Love III, a well-established golfer on the PGA Tour who hails from North Carolina. Davis might be considered a more modern option to the ever-popular boy's name David. Quick facts on Davis. Gender, boy. Origin, English. Number of syllables, 2. Ranking popularity, 442. Pronunciation, Davis. Simple meaning, son of David, beloved. Characteristics of Davis. Independent, successful, inventive, strong-willed, ambitious, individualistic. Cultural references to the baby name, Davis. Famous people named Davis. Davis Love III, golfer. Davis Romero, baseball player. Historic figures with the name Davis. Miles Davis was an iconic genius of jazz music. A trumpeter and composer, Davy's contributions to the genre pushed jazz music into new territory. Born into a middle-class family and raised in East St. Louis, Miles inherited his musical talent from his mother. He became influenced by Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie and would eventually drop out of Juilliard to play in a jazz quintet with Berta Parker in 1946. Keeping up with Parker and his breakneck tempos and chord substitutions proved a humbling and invaluable experience for the young musician. He would go on to join other musicians who were playing a more relaxed, less volatile style of jazz. In the early 1950s, Miles' contribution and standard of play would wane due to his heroin addiction, but in a few short years, He would clean up his act and go on to form his first quintet, which included another jazz great, John Coltrane. This group would produce widely popular and great jazz music. In the 1960s, Miles moved on to another quintet that included, among others, Herbie Hancock. At this point in his career, Davis and his group improvised and experimented with new sounds open forms of free jazz which dazzled critics and avid jazz fans alike. The 1970s was a time when rock and roll was replacing jazz, and so Miles and his group experimented with fusion between the two genres and are considered pioneers of jazz rock. Miles Davis is a giant among jazz musicians. His brilliance and contributions still influence music today.